So get everything that you need, which is your torn up pieces of serviette, your sponge brush, your PVA glue. Have all that to hand. You'll need some water as well, so put some water ready. So taking your PVA glue, pour about a dessert spoonful, maybe slightly more than a dessert spoonful, into a clean tub. So there you can see that's about a dessert spoonful. It's about a quarter of your tub of PVA in actual fact. Then you can either pour, or if you have a pipette or a teaspoon, to now add the water. Now I tend to eyeball it, so I don't really know what the exact measurements are. So I think I started off here with about a teaspoonful, maybe a teaspoonful and a half. What you want is not too thick a consistency, but equally not too runny, but more runny than thick. If it's too thick, you risk tearing the napkin when you're applying the glue over the top of it. If it's too runny, it won't stick very well. So that's my 2 tips there. So with this, I did end up adding a little bit more water because my first solution wasn't runny enough. So once you've got that PVA mix to the right consistency, so don't worry too much. If you've put too much water in, you can add a little bit more PVA and vice versa. So once you're satisfied with that, I always do the drip test. If it falls quite smoothly off the sponge brush, then it's about the right consistency. So now what we need to do is start applying our torn up serviette. So apply a small amount of glue onto the surface of your box. Take any piece of torn serviette and place it onto the box. Once you've done that, you go over that piece of serviette with your PVA mix. Now I do this quite gently because serviettes are quite fragile and they will tear if you're too rough. Also, you're trying to avoid too many creases or bubbles in the serviette. Now creases are a personal choice. Sometimes they can look quite good. It can look like a crackle effect. Other times it can look horrendous, so up to you. But if you do get creases, get a small piece of cling film, wrap it around your finger, over your finger, and then you can use that to very gently smooth out the serviette. But please make sure that there is enough glue on the top for you to do that. If there isn't, you'll tear the serviette. There's a common theme here. I'm sure that you're noticing that serviettes tear easily. So anyway, just keep going, placing your bits of serviette onto the box. Try not to overlap too often. Doesn't hurt the odd bit, but where possible, try and just get things only just touching. But what you end up with is quite a cool mishmash, abstract kind of effect of colour and pattern. It's also worth mentioning here, I don't know if you can notice, but I've got bits of serviette that are sticking over the edge of the top of the box. I'm trying my hardest not to glue those onto the side of the box because I don't want any decoupage on the edge of the lid. I only want it on the top. If you are planning on decoupaging the entire outside of the box, then do glue down those overlapping bits because as you go around the edge you'll be bringing together the pattern anyway. So here I'm going to show you how to do a larger piece of serviette. So similar to what you would do if you were doing like the hexagonal box in the background of your picture. It can be slightly more difficult doing larger pieces of serviette, which is why quite often we use the small pieces. But for instance, with this napkin serviette, there's these really nice butterflies, so I'd quite like to have an entire butterfly on the top, as well as just these short collaged pieces. So careful and just tear around the edge of the image that you're trying to keep. Always best not to use scissors. I can't remember why, but yeah, just tear really carefully. I think I used slightly more glue when I did this piece because I really didn't want it to crease. So then I carefully place it where I want it to be, and then as with the other, I then go over the top really gently. I tend to work from the middle outwards to try and avoid any creases. There we go. Then I just carried on working with these small pieces and placing them around that butterfly until the whole of the top of the box is covered. Once the top of the box is fully covered, you'll need to leave it to dry. Now if you're doing your decoupage all down the sides as well, or the entire box, you might need to do it in stages, and it depends. Now if you're just doing the sides of the top, the lid, then I would carry on until you've got all the sides covered as well, and then leave to dry, and then do the bottom half of the box separately. I mentioned at the beginning of the first video that decoupage can actually be applied to a multitude of different surfaces, from furniture to glass to plastic, cardboard, anything really. So this is a shoe that I did. Started off as a plain beige shoe. I used decoupage and painted some patterns to match the napkin, just to make it look a bit more interesting. With shoes, you do need to put a waterproof varnish over the top so that you can still wear them. Okay, another thing you can decoupage, as I say, is glass. So jam jars, don't throw them away, wash them. Make sure you get rid of all the residual adhesive on the outside. What I've done here is just added some Christmas themed napkins to the glass. It's not quite finished, as you can see, but it was just to really show you that you can actually put this onto glass. And I shall probably use this and fill it with a mixture of sweets from the sweet shop, jelly beans and all of that sort of thing. For a lid, because I've thrown my lid away, I shall put a serviette over the top and an elastic band, and that will go to somebody as a Christmas present. Or I might fill it with chocolate, or I might fill it with cotton pads and give them to my daughter. But that's something else you can think about. Now when you've finished, you might have some glue mix left over. You don't need to throw that away. All you need to do is cover that tub with something that keeps the air out, so cling film, piece of card, whatever you've got to hand, foil, and that will then keep that PVA mix ready for another session. Okay, that's the end of this session. Tune in to the next video for stage 3 and what we do once that box is dry.